Hello YouTube, this is BUB'S Comics coming at you with Vacation Comic Haul. This is part 2, probably the final part, so we'll try. It's a big old stack, so we'll try and run through these fast. I previewed some of these on the Monday night chat, the Faceless Comic chat, so I'll go through them pretty quick. And some of them I just picked up today. So here we got the Lone Ranger, The Death of Zorro, #1. It's a nice Alex Ross cover. Picked that up for $1. Then I got this run of Lone Ranger Volume 2, and it's 1 through 7, and the first 6 are signed by Francesco Francavilla. So there's #1. There's a little signature down there. Looks pretty awesome. There's #2. There's #3. There's #4. There's #5. Love that one. Kind of a John Wayne cover to me. There's #6. Also really like that one. The orange and the white. It's nice. Dynamic colors. And there's #7. I think it's pretty cool that they had this run done by Francesco, because the the Volume 1 was all done by John Cassaday, and I absolutely love those covers. So I was glad they got a good artist for Volume 2 as well. I think Volume 3 just got announced. It's coming out in October, and they went back to the Cassaday covers. Still, I've been hot and cold on completing my Wolverine every issue. Wolverine Volumes 1 or miniseries through Death, but you know, if I see one out in the wild and it's cheap enough, I'll go ahead and pick it up. So this is one I didn't have, Wolverine #128. Also picked up Detective Comics 0, trying to work on my DC 0 run. I think I have a couple more in here that are also from, yeah, here's 2 more. So then I picked up my 0 Hour. This is Justice League of America #92. And here is 0 Hour. It's Valor #23. And that one is personalized and signed to somebody named Mike. So it says, "To Mike, long live the Legion." I think it's Colleen Duran signature, but I could be wrong. If anyone out there recognizes this as anything other than Colleen Duran, just let me know. Very, very tough to find anything about that, but I also picked it up because it had this DC subscription service mailer, which I thought was pretty cool. I like the Batman art on there. I'd never seen one of these before, so I was looking forward to kind of going through that. But I thought it was pretty cool. Little advertisement for their DC mailer. Next, I found a shop that had a variant box, and it was a $1 variant box, which I've never seen before. Oh, it was a great idea, because a lot of times these variants come out and shop owners just consider them to be worth gold no matter how much. They don't care. They're never going to sell it at cover price or less, and they just kind of keep them. And not everybody wants every variant, and especially Marvel comes out with so many of them, they can't all be worth something. So this one I think is pretty cool. Devil Dinosaur on Planet Hulk, if you know the storyline. Captain America rides Devil Dinosaur for most of that storyline. It was pretty cool. Even though it had $10 on there, it was just out of the dollar bin. Next we have Secret Wars #1. Been collecting the variants that have the action figure variants. There's 9 of them in this particular run. So that's what I'm up to right now. And I've got this one, and I think I've got 1 through 5 or so. So I'm still missing the other half of them. This was also just $1. Picked this one up, even though it's not in the Secret Wars 1 through 9. This is the Battle World one. I do have some of the Battle Worlds, so I thought the Black Panther just looked really cool, and I couldn't pass up getting those 2 together. Also just for $1, so you can't really go wrong there. Next we have Lone Ranger and Tonto. I'm really loving these Lone Ranger stories. It was the storyline that I took with me on vacation. Just absolutely love it. Been just it's just great art, great story, just everything's just perfect about it. It's like a perfect comic book so far. I'm about halfway through the first volume, and just binge reading them. So this is Lone Ranger and Tonto. So what they did here, Dynamite did, is that they kind of put out these Lone Ranger and Tontos. They would have a break or so in the volume of a couple of months per volume, and during those months they'd kind of put out one of these, and it was kind of like an annual, but unofficially an annual, and they numbered them each individually. So this is Lone Ranger and Tonto number 1, Lone Ranger and Tonto number 2, number 3, they're also a little thicker too, and number 4. And I'm pretty sure that that's the complete run of those Lone Ranger and Tontos. And for Volume 2, they put out an annual, which was the only annual on Volume 2. Here is The Amazing Spider-Man number 800. That's the John Romita Sr. cover with Gwen Stacy. Of course, if you know you're John Romita Sr., you know that he basically, if you're going to look for anything Gwen Stacy and you're looking to fall in love with Gwen Stacy, then you want to do it with a John Romita drawn Gwen Stacy book. So pretty cool. I have to say, the only reason I picked this up was because it was in the dollar bin, and I was so shocked to see Amazing Spider-Man 800 with a $10 cover price that really hasn't even been out that long to be in a dollar bin, and this one of all of them, because I think it's one of the most striking ones. And of course they had like 30 of them that came out, so just super shocked to get that, super happy to have it, and for $1 I just could not pass it up. The story's thick on it, so I'm going to read that and enjoy that. Trying to find all my Tomb Raiders in the wild. So here we got Tomb Raider and Witchblade Revisited. Don't know much about that one except that I didn't have it, so now I do. Here's Tomb Raider number 2. Some of these I have variant covers, but as you know, the Tomb Raider series, there's a ton of variants out there. So this is one that I picked up. I already have several number 2s, but I didn't have this one. So here's number 4. Those are both, I think, Andy Park covers. And here's number 26, and this one I believe is signed by Randy Green. Right there. Pretty neat cover in and of itself. Here's number 27, also signed by Randy Green. These were $1 a piece, by the way. So to get a signed copy of a comic book for $1, I can't pass that up either. This was number 31. I had a variant cover of that, but I didn't have this one. I thought it was pretty cool, actually. Different looking. Here is Lara Croft Tomb Raider number 46. So that's getting close to the end of the run. It's a great Adam Hughes cover. I did not have this one, and then to get one signed, not by Adam Hughes, I believe it is Eric Basaldu. That's the best I can do. Basaldu, maybe. Eric Basaldu is who signed this one, looks like to me. And then last but and certainly not least is a book that I was looking for on this vacation in particular, and I found it. So this is The Incredible Hulk 162. And I tell you why I was looking for this book. This is the first appearance of Wendigo. I stumbled upon this book's existence, if you will, in hunting while I was hunting for 179. When I was trying to complete my first appearance of Wolverine, starting from 179, the first time he's mentioned, to of course 180 cameo, 181 full appearance, and 182, I guess, second or third appearance, depends how you want to count it, but he's only in the first couple pages. So in doing that, I came across several lots for 179 that included like from 160 to 179 or so. So, and this was one of them, and this is, you can usually get this book somewhere around 50 or 60 bucks. A little higher if it's in better condition than that. But for the most part, that's about where this book lives in range, about $60 range. It's a pretty nice book, pretty good story. I've already read it as soon as I got it back to the place we're staying. I already started reading it. But I'll tell you a quick little story on this book. And what happened was that I went into the shop. I had never been to this shop. I'm on vacation, so I go to all the shops that I can get to. It was the last shop of the day, after it'd be the third shop of the day. And I really just couldn't, I I saw it. I walked in, and this is something I've learned to kind of do. So here's a couple of tips. So I walked in and I said, all right. I said hello, introduced myself slightly. Said hi, how's it going? You can already get a feel. Some of the shop owners are very personable, and some of them just aren't, or just not that they don't want to be. Maybe they just don't have a personality very much at all. No customer service skills. And then sometimes they're really nice people and outgoing and whatever. And sometimes they're just jerks, right? So, so I asked the guy. He said, "Hey, what are you looking for?" Which was nice. I like when they asked that. And I said, well, actually, I'm looking for wall books and pre-code horror. And he was surprised. And I've been throwing in that pre-code horror line for a couple of reasons. One is that most of your quick flip eBay sellers or people out there who are just looking to collect comics because they think it might be valuable, or they watched a video somewhere and like, oh, I'm going to do this. Most of the time they don't ask for pre-code horror, so it's a way to separate yourself from the community if hopefully you're actually looking for that. And my buddy DS Comics is a big pre-code horror collector, so he's kind of turned me on to some of those, and I'm always feeling, and I have like a little want list of his that he is always looking for these particular books. So I figure chances are if I'm going to find them, it's going to be in the wild, and I just have to get lucky. So anyway, I asked for that. So he was kind of surprised. He said, it's funny, you're the third person to come in today and ask for pre-code horror. I said, really? He said, yeah. So I guess people out of town have been asking for that. So he said, well, you can take a look at the wall books. They're all around the store, and they were all over the walls at the top and midsection of the all around the store. So I said thanks. I looked around, asked him. I said, what's the 10-cent tour of the place? He told me, here's where this are, here's where that is. I always ask that to see if the shop owner or worker cares at all, to try and direct me around, which I prefer them to try at least a little bit. I know some people like to walk in and like leave me alone, let me just hunt. But I like to engage with the shop owners as much as I can to see if there's any kind of hidden gems. At the last place that I went to, I asked to see wall books, and turned out he had a whole box in the back. So that's the way I like to do it. Now with eBay, a lot of people are not putting their wall books up. They just keep them in a box in the back of the store, sell them on eBay, and whatever doesn't sell, then maybe they sell through the store. So anyway, I went around the room, and I found this book pretty early on, but I kept walking around, and they had it listed for $40. And at $40, it's a fair price for this title, but I really wasn't pleased with the condition. So there's some waving going on here. It looks like there's maybe been some water. There's a break down here, completely torn off corner. It looked like it was a crease that just finally gave way. There's another small crease over here that hasn't given way yet. There's like a small, punch out where the comics code is, and you can't probably see it in the video, but the top staple is pretty decent, little rusty, but the bottom staple is very rusty. So I was surprised if that staple was even still attached or holding on. And if it is, it's not holding on by much, and it probably will continue to rust out and eventually separate. So, there's a little bit of stain up here, a little bit of tanning at the top. So anyway, I went through the whole store, didn't really find anything else I wanted. So, I asked my wife who was with me, I was like, you think I should even try to work on this price a little bit, because I do want the book, and I really had been looking for the book this week. And I said, I'd like to have it. So anyway, she encouraged me, yeah, go ahead, give it a shot. It's like, all right. I was like, what do I got to lose, right? So I walked up to him holding the book, and there were two apparently co-owners there, a husband and wife seemed like. And I said, so let me just ask you, would you be offended if I made you an offer on this book? And I said that because sometimes if you just look at a shop owner, or anybody for that matter, I like to negotiate, I like to haggle, if you will, on prices. If I feel like there's a price that I'm not really willing to pay more than, then I try to work towards that price. And so I asked him, I said, you'd be willing to take an offer? And he kind of looked at me and he said, yeah, you can make an offer, as if to say he's not guaranteeing he'll take it. I said, okay. So I told him, I said, honestly, this book, you've got it priced for $40. I'm not going to, fight with you about grading. You know, I'm sure you know the grade of this book, you know, because it wasn't listed as a grade. So I'm sure you know enough about this book. You know, honestly, $40 isn't a bad price for this title. However, this book in particular, this book in the condition that it's in right now, I would only be a player at 20 bucks. I said I would only give you 20 for this book. And he said, well, let me see. I don't know. I said, well, okay. Well, let me show you a little bit. It's got wrinkling here. It's got the staples rusted out here. I said it's got quite a bit of tanning. It's got 2 corners that are bad. I said, really, you know, I think $20 is where I would need to be on this book. And he looks at it real quick, kind of gives it a once over. Meanwhile, his wife is listening very closely, and he says, well, would you do 25? And I thought about it for a second. It's funny because my wife said, I thought you were going to take the 25 offer. And I said, you know, honestly, it really is. 20 is my top dollar on this book. And I wasn't being a jerk or nasty or mean, but I honestly was good with letting this book go for 25, not getting it for 25, because it's, to me, condition-wise, it's a $20 book. You know, I wanted the story. I wanted to have it. It presents pretty well. But ultimately, you could get better copies of this book in the $40 to $50 range. So, you know, to me, amateur grading wise, I'd put it at probably a 3.5 to a 4. So, you know, if you're going to ask for a 75 for an 8.0 and your average 6.0 is going to run you somewhere around 60, then I think this should be somewhere at least under 30, and I would be happy to spend 20. So anyway, he says, I don't know, you know, he didn't really want to come down to 20. And then his wife says, let me see that book. So she takes the book. She said, I'm going to take it out of there. I was like, that's fine. You know, it's not like I don't own the book yet. I haven't paid you anything. Go ahead, do what you want. So she takes the book out. She looks at it. She opens it up. And she says, yeah, I think 20 is fair. And then and no tax, just paid him the 20 bucks, and I walked out. So that's it. That's my little haul. Try to keep it under 20 minutes for a lot of books. So I hope you found it somewhat informative and enjoyed my pickups. I don't think I'll get to any more shops while I'm here, so this will probably it, and I'll just go back to reading for the rest of the time. So, all right, guys, when you get done checking out this video and any others that are on your watch later list, the ever-growing watch later list, then put all that down and read one of the comics you picked up. Thanks. Bye.